Hi and welcome to Smart Training 365. Happy New Year. This is our first video of 2022. So I hope you had a great start of the year. Today's topic will be about creatine, adaptogens, anabolic signaling molecules, after exercise restoration, and supercompensation, supplements for fat loss, supplements for reaction and quickness. And we're going to discuss that with Rick Brunner. Hey, Rick, welcome to Smart Training 365.
Thanks for having me. That's quite a mouthful of things to talk about.
Right. I think people would like to hear about these things. I know that they will find this very interesting because I spoke to you and I know what they will hear. And this information, in my opinion, needs to be out there. That's the reason why I wanted to do the video with you, to be honest, because when I was looking for, supplements and trying to find what is the best supplements for me, let's say, for example, in terms of protein, what are the criteria for that? I was lost. So you end up trying different ones and you don't know what you're looking for. So, and I'm sure that many people share the same thing with me, because not all supplements will do the same things as it's written on the label. So people go with the intention that what they will find in that supplement is what it's written, to do and all that. So, Rick, before we start talking about that, do you mind tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Sure. I grew up in Northern California. I in high school I played two sports: football. I was a right offensive tackle, and in track and field I was a shot putter and discus thrower, and enjoyed the track side more so, I think, because it was kind of an individual sport, and I was good at it. So then I went on to college at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and I started throwing the hammer and taught myself a lot there and learned a lot. And then I was fortunately fortunate to be on a national championship team, and I was also an All-American in the hammer throw. So that's kind of a nice story. My
Wow.
coach, we had a track and field reunion a couple years ago back at Cal Poly, and our coach came back for that. And I hadn't seen him since college. It was
Wow.
fantastic. Didn't look like he even aged, but he pulled me aside and we had a nice little chat. And he said, he's very famous. He said, I don't know if you know this, but I'm the only track and field coach in U.S. history to have an All-American in every event. And you're my hammer thrower. So
Wow.
my comment was, well, it's a good thing I didn't screw up. So anyway, so yeah, I started there and hammer throwing and, just being in athletics and everything. And then, went into business after that. I graduated with a couple degrees and went off to actually work in the retail environment, eventually managing a store the size of a Target. And then that division of the company was sold. So then I kind of morphed around to different things. And my best friend Mike and another guy started a sport nutrition company back in around 1986 called Champion Nutrition. And I kind of got involved in that, not kind of in a peripheral way, but learning and whatnot. And from there, they were working on a product. They had a product developed that was based on some Soviet research at the time, and it was mostly in Russian. So I had it translated, and I was fascinated by it. And so I had an opportunity in 1988 to go to the Soviet Union for the first time, first of many trips that I've made. And I went with the National Strength and Conditioning Association coaches. A number of them are CSCS certified coaches, very elite coaches. Now a lot of them have gone on to do great things. We went to Bulgaria first, and then we went to Moscow, second part of our trip. But all along, I was kind of the only nutrition guy in the group. So I was afforded access to a lot of really great scientists in these countries. And they were as interested in what we were doing here as I was with what they were doing there. But I learned very quickly that they were doing a lot more there than we were doing here. As far as the science, I mean, they were trying to win it, in any way possible, and it's very organized as far as their programs. all the way from training youth athletes all the way up to masters of sport and Olympic level athletes. So I was fascinated by that. So that was my first trip, and with the coaches group. And then I went again later in the year. I was invited back to an international conference in Leningrad, which is now called St. Petersburg. And at that conference, I was able to meet a lot more of the Soviet-based scientists, as well as many scientists from around the world. They were from all over. A number of great scientists came out of the Scandinavian countries, and of course, they're fairly close to Leningrad. So they were also at the convention, and I got to know some of those guys too. At that convention, I kind of palled around with some of my Russian friends, science friends, and we were taking a shuttle into town to see some sites, and I said, I'm working on this new amino acid product. I want to make it a little bit more oomph, give it some more action. What would you put in it? And they said, put creatine in it. And I said, what the heck is creatine? I had no idea. Nobody here in the West knew.
This is when? What year was that?
1988. Yeah. So so when I came back, I added creatine monohydrate to an amino acid product that I'd had at the time. Really didn't know a lot about it, but we started working with it there, and then it kind of just blossomed from there. For some of my friends here made their brands big on creatine as well. So that was kind of my first foray into creatine. But I've been many times to Russia. Of course, the Soviet Union broke up in the late 80s, and so it became Russia at that point. And I traveled with mostly to Leningrad, because Leningrad was where the major kind of nutrition research was being done. And I got to know the director of the center, Victor Rogoskin. He's pretty famous. And a lot of the other people there, as well as some people that I helped I helped bring them to the United States as well, and get them so they could blossom a little more. So that's kind of where I started, and then developing sport nutrition products for brands that I developed, and then other companies, and advising and whatnot. So here we are today in 2022, and I have decided I'm back in Montana, which I love. I was in California for quite a few years raising my kids, and now they're all grown, and I have a couple grandkids. So now I'm looking at doing some other projects as well.
Impressive bio, that's to just be in the presence with elite scientists and researchers. That's not given to anyone. I think it's also a lot of luck is involved. So the research that you were talking about, what kind of research were that? Like, were there research with professional athletes? What type of research and
You mean in the
tests?
Soviet in Russia?
Yes.
Oh, they work with all levels. Of course, they have a national, they have a master of sport. They have different classifications. So they have what's called master of sport level athletes, and international master of sports athletes, which would be like Olympians, for instance. And so they would study, of course, they did animal studies too, at the research center, but then they would farm that out and do studies with athletes and individuals, like, for instance, adaptogens, which a lot of people know what the word adaptogen is now, I think, helping the body adapt to stress and whatnot. I got to know a lot of the top scientists involved in adaptogenic research in Russia. There's many adaptogens. I just got to know just a lot of other science people. And when you go enough times, and I don't know that many people have ever gone, because I don't see a lot of people talking about the early years of working with Russians, but I found it fascinating, and I learned a lot, and was able to come back and translate some of that into some products and things like that. So today we have some new ideas on what to make, and how to make them effective, and how to complex them with training. I've always been a big believer that obviously training leads the way. The supplement is a supplement. It's just designed as a tool to do something, but the training and the diet and things like that are extremely important as well. So we work with that as well. We try to think of the entire package of an athlete, and I don't mean just an athlete like I mean, it could be a young athlete, a youth athlete, or somebody in high school or college. It could be an Olympian. I've worked with Olympians. I've worked with professional athletes in many different sports, football primarily,
When
and
you
then
say
also.
when you say you worked, like what task did you do?
Well, I work mostly with strength and conditioning coaches because they're the ones that are training the athletes. So they need to know, what supplements are quality supplements to be able to give them to
Hmm.
get the performance, and when to give them. And so I needed to, I
Timing.
you also need to know, really, if you want to do a good job, you need to know kind of how their training is going so that you can design a supplement plan that jives with their training.
Mm.
So um,
Personalized, you mean?
Yeah, personalized. Yeah, every sport's a little bit different. Some are more explosive, speed strength type sports, like track and field, sprints, and football and things like that. Some are more strength oriented sports, like Olympic weightlifting,
Hmm.
and then powerlifting. I've for years worked with many Olympic weightlifters and powerlifters, and then of course endurance. I don't work as much with endurance athletes. Um, but I do work more with the strength and the speed strength athletes, and again, primarily the coaches, because they're the ones that are going to be using the supplement as a tool in their training program design.
Did you work with bodybuilders?
Oh yeah, yeah, sure, yeah. And early on, I actually wrote years ago for a lot of the magazines, and Joe Weider's Muscle and Fitness, and Flex and whatnot, and wrote articles and whatnot. But and so I had access to bodybuilders in the early days. I mean, I was down in as in my younger years, I was down in Southern California with in the Arnold Schwarzenegger days, and in Venice Beach and World Gym and Gold's Gym, and seeing Joe Gold. Joe Gold actually sold Golds, and then he wound up
Yeah.
starting World. And seeing Joe behind the counter selling T-shirts and stuff like that, and seeing the guys train and whatnot. So I didn't work a ton with bodybuilders at that time, but I mean, I knew them, and I talked to a number of them with
Hmm.
the supplement side, because I was still evolving myself at that point. That was kind of the early years with them.
What do you think of the supplements industry in general and today as compared to before?
Well, it hasn't changed really a lot. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of bloviating of, just I'm over the years, I've become more of what I would describe as a minimalist. I think that there are certain compounds and nutrients and things that actually work, and there's a lot of other stuff that's just fill. And so when I look at a label now and I see like 10 different ingredients in it, I go, why is all that there? And because I know what works, and I'll look and say, well, okay, that's okay, and that's okay, and then why is this stuff here? For instance, a lot of supplements, they'll add vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. Those are pretty much insignificant in a lot of training programs, and in fact, they can actually be a negative. Certain antioxidants and things can actually retard your training results. So trying to get to fight more free radicals and everything. Free radicals are signaling molecules in recovery, I mean, during the workout and in the recovery. So they're actually necessary. And a lot of the newer science has shown that if you try to tamp down free radicals too much with a bunch of antioxidants, you actually retard performance. So that's kind of my take. So it's the same today as it was then. It's a lot of hype. Um, Not that there aren't good products out there. There are, but I think that less is sometimes more. And not trying to over engineer. And I think companies do it a lot of the times because number one, they maybe don't know what to put in a product, and they don't really know how to formulate. But secondly, they want to try to one up somebody else, so they'll add this and they'll add that, and then it just kind of becomes watered down mush. So I think describing me as a minimalist is probably appropriate.
So when you say like there are many things thrown there, uh, like what are usually the things that you see commonly induced in these products that they are almost irrelevant, and they can make like a product uh, actually diminish its effectiveness as compared to if it wasn't there.
Well, yeah, a few things. I don't like artificial sweeteners, and I don't like artificial flavors.
Why is that?
Well, sometimes the artificial sweeteners have negatives. I mean, some of the science has shown some of the negatives for artificial sweeteners. And I'm not talking about stevia, which is a natural,
Uh-huh.
it's a protein, it's a leaf from a leaf. Some people don't like stevia, but most people are okay with it. I use it. Erythritol is a sugar alcohol. Sometimes you can flavor with that too. So you can do some, and you can just use sugar sometimes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little sugar in recovery. So,
Hmm.
it's just another energy source. So we don't want to make it bad to say it's bad. We're not using a ton of it anyway. But I think over engineering some of these supplements, again, with too many ingredients in them, that really don't work as well. There's a few things. One area that I'm looking at now are pre-workout supplements, because I've always thought of them as kind of sketchy. And
And it's a
so
big
I started,
business.
yeah, I started still delving into, I mean, they have caffeine. A lot of them are loaded with caffeine, which definitely gives you a boost. But the question is, well, is that necessary or not? I don't know. But we're looking at a few ingredients now that are, it's probably like literally like two that probably have some efficacy to them, some function in athletics. But the rest of it is just pretty much fill. And then the flavor things, these, we had them back years ago too, where companies would go crazy with flavors and have like 10 different flavors of protein powder and stuff like that. And I mean, I use just unflavored protein. I use whey,
Hmm.
a good quality whey protein, and it works great. And then I flavor it myself.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
change
you
it up.
add what?
I'm able to change it up and everything. So, I get, maybe somebody might want vanilla. I mean, the main ones are vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. Those are kind of the main. But then I see a lot of these mass supplement things that are, fruity flavored and cocoa flavored, juicy.
No.
They're kind of cereal names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to train and get good results, and I don't need all that stuff, and I don't need all the artificial stuff that's in them. And so that's just my take.
What? But when you say that you don't like artificial flavors and stuff like that, uh, I don't know if there is any supplements that doesn't have artificial flavors. That means we eliminate all supplements.
No, no, I mean, artificial flavors. You just use natural vanilla or natural chocolate or something natural like
Hmm.
that, or don't, or just do it unflavored and
Hmm.
flavor yourself. Heck, I go to the grocery store and buy cocoa powder, and now I've
Yeah,
got chocolate. It's
and
in
you
a
do
little
it to
can. A
yourself.
little can. It costs like $4. I got enough chocolate to make like like a month or 2 months of drinks after a workout. So yeah.
What is the impact of these artificial flavors? Like, do they impact the health negatively?
I've seen some science on it. So some, especially the flavors. I don't know about the artificial. I mean, I'm just not a big fan of just artificial flavored stuff, but I just never have used it. I've used always natural. But the sweetener side concerns me more with some of the
What
artificial
does concern
sweeteners.
you?
I just have seen some negative things in the science on the use of artificial sweeteners, and then if you can avoid it, then why not avoid it? What's the big deal? So, and I don't like the I guess it's the flavor intensity. To me, it seems like if it tastes, if you make it super intense with sweetness and with flavor, you've made this giant yummy thing that like chocolate pudding or something like that. You know what I mean? That it takes away from what you're the goal of the supplement is the active in the supplement, not all the junk that goes with it. So that's why I think it's better to focus on quality starting material that's going to, like a whey protein or a whey protein peptide, or what we would call a hydrolysate in the old days.
Hmm.
Um, or you talk about creatine, or yeah, or collagen protein. Collagen's big right now. I add some collagen to my protein shakes, but
Hmm.
I just add unflavored collagen to it. It's a certain protein that has some amino acids that are missing in other proteins, including whey, that in high amounts, that help with building connective tissue, and the sheaths around your muscle and your joint tissue and hair, skin, nails, stuff like that. So just staying kind of pure, more so. Just my philosophy.
Okay, let's dig in a little bit into the supplement part. Let's talk about creatine. So, why it's why someone should supplement with creatine or should not?
Well, creatine tends to work best for strength and explosive power because it helps with muscle contractions. The latest science in the old days, I mean, we kind of the standard is you can load it with for 20 grams for a few days and then
Yeah,
taper
I
down to
remember. Yeah.
5 grams, or you can just do 5 grams a day for a little bit longer period. And we're talking about creatine monohydrate. Okay, so that's
Hmm.
the one I've worked with. It's the one I believe in the most. I think it works. Sometimes people think it helps with it kind of increases water retention. That's really not has never really been scientifically shown. In fact, a lot of studies have disproved that that it does that. But I think I still the best, and it's the quality. The quality can be high if you source it from the right place. And then the latest research shows that it's best taken in recovery, not just after the workout,
Not before.
which kind of is counter to what you would think. Like, well, I want to take it before the workout because I'm going to get muscle contract. But I think it has to already be in the cells. If you take it every day and you can take it consistently, then it's in the cells, and that increases phosphocreatine in the cell, which is involved in higher intensity muscle contractions. So you can have a higher intensity contraction in your reps and your sets. I think that's one of the main thing. I've seen some connections to creatine also in just the anabolic side of it. The stimulating the muscle growth side too. So I mean, it probably has, in science we would call it pleiotropic effects. It has multiple influences on the body. But all in all, I think can be very effective, especially for weightlifting and especially for explosiveness training, stuff like that, powerlifting, shot putting, football, just anything that has explosive muscle contractions.
Hmm. And regarding the creatine, like, what is the mechanism? Like, so let's say if someone doesn't supplement with creatine, what will be the difference in the body when someone starts supplementing? Like, what is it that he will produce more, or what is the impact of that he will feel his performance improved?
Well, I think that really its mechanism is it increases phosphocreatine, which is a major energy nutrient in the cell that allows you to do high intensity work. And if that phosphocreatine is lower, you don't have as high an intensity, as high in a muscle contraction. So really, that's where it is. It's just another addition to help you with the workout and with recovery. As far as feeling it, other than things like caffeine, and caffeine is used a lot because you feel it. You're like, ooh,
Hmm.
I feel amped up. I'm not a huge fan of just feeling it. I want it long term, see what's happening with my training result. So with creatine, I think it's more of a long term buy-in. It's days, it's weeks of consistency, and it's just progressively increasing your intensity of the workout and elevating your performance in the workout over time. And
Hmm.
that's where its advantage is. It's not so many things. Everybody thinks they want the magic pill, even in fat loss. Fat loss, and we will talk about that, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
so many people want the magic pill now, and there is none.
Yeah.
It's through training and hard work and optimal recovery, and in recovery supercompensation of elevating your level consistently over time, and paying the price to do it. Let me talk a little bit about the science, just kind of in general. In what I would call the old days, the 80s, and even in the 90s, the internet didn't exist like it is now. And
Hmm.
so I would have to go to major universities. And of course, I grew up in the Northern California, so I had access to some really fine universities, Stanford, UC Berkeley, and especially UC Davis was my favorite library to go to. But I would have to plow through just, massive books of just little tiny type things. And then and then find an article written, and then I'd have to go down to the stacks. I'd have to try to find it. Probably about 30%, maybe 20% of the time you'd find the article, because, and now with the internet, the world is there at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And so, you can do your own research. I mean, that's where I do mine. And and the other thing is, the other advantage of the internet now is that if you find some really, you see patterns. You find patterns with scientists, like, for instance, Eric Holtman, who passed away a few years ago, from I think, I don't know, he was from a Scandinavian country, but Eric, I met him at a symposium in Leningrad. He was a major pioneer in creatine research early on, and he did some work with a guy named Roger Harris in England, and they did a lot of the early pioneering research in the West, basically outside of the Soviet Union, and brought some really, enlightenment to understanding creatine. And then another guy that it was a favorite of mine, who's passed away also, Michael Rennie, from England, was a protein researcher. So I learned a lot from him. But the cool thing is that once you find a pattern of some of these scientists, you can email them and develop a dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, I would have to send a telex to the Soviet Union or Russia, a telex. It's like a typewriter. It's really antiquated. And, and then I'd have to get invited, and then I would have to go. Now, I mean, you can do a Zoom call with somebody. And so the opportunity to learn more is greatly accelerated now. I don't think a lot of people use it. I don't think a lot of companies that do product development really use it, but I do, because I want to learn and I want to know. And I've always found that what I don't know, I don't know. And you open the door, and all of a sudden then you have more questions and more questions.
Yeah.
You wind up conversing with a guy. And I mean, even locally here in Montana, we have some really fine scientists here. And I just conversing with them, I learned stuff I had no idea about different nutrients and things. And then I'm able to follow through and, follow that down another path, kind of thing. So
It's a big world. So what are the criteria that determines like a good creatine supplement? Meaning, like, how you know that this is a good creatine? Because many people say, okay, if you take, let's say, this supplement, it will help you with so and so. But how you know that that creatine is the best when you're in the supplement store, and you find like there are maybe 20 or 30 products that all sell creatine?
that's a good question, because I have very strong opinions on where to get creatine. And I early on, I purchased creatine from a U.S. company that was making it, and we paid quite a bit for it. It's obviously dropped now because it's more of a commodity item now. It's pretty affordable, but I would source it from Germany, because from my experience, German creatine is the quality of it is phenomenal. I'm not a fan of Chinese creatine, just to be honest.
Why is that?
Well, I've had for a few reasons. One is I've had experience analyzing different products from China. Friends have analyzed products from China that have not been up to par. So I'm not saying that everything from China is bad. I'm just saying that you need to do your homework and you need to analyze it. And one of my friends was in the industry, and he was going to make a new creatine product. And I said, where are you sourcing it? And he said, I'm looking at Chinese material. And I said, well, you better have it analyzed. And when he did, he found that there were steroids in it. And this was years ago, but which is why we have things. There's a few certification organizations now that certify things to be, WADA, which is the national, it was the governing board on, what kinds of things can be taken by athletes and what things are banned, what are the banned substances and everything. And I think for years ago, we found that products were being tainted by things that would harm athletes or would get them caught in a doping
Ooh.
Scandal. And I can remember vividly, even attorneys calling me saying, is this possible that my athlete says, look, they swear up and down they haven't taken anything, and in some cases that may be just that them saying that, but in many cases they probably didn't know, so now there are certifications for those groups that really need to go that far. Like for instance, high school athletes or college athletes or pro athletes, they pretty much, the strength and conditioning coaches are pretty much tied to looking at purchasing products or getting products that are like NSF certified or other groups that are doing these doping, these tests to make sure there aren't any banned substances, so the athletes won't fail a test or a stupid thing like taking a supplement, kind of a thing. Yeah, so I mean, I got off point a little bit there, but I think creatine, especially German creatine, we're looking at introducing a German creatine, and it's really the only one in the world that I would use. So, and I recommend it, and I to many people. So that's kind of it. Again, and I have friends that are in. I have a good friend that's a medicinal plant chemist that works a lot with the plant compounds. Growing compounds, selecting strains, isolating compounds, and this is that kind of thing. And he trains postdoc students from China, and all they want to do is go home and synthesize things. So instead of, they don't even want to make the plant. He can show them the plant. He can look at a certain ground up leaf or whatever, smell it, taste it, and he can tell you what it is, probably even where it was grown. He's that good. But other people want the easy way, and they want to just go home and synthesize an active compound in the plant. That, like for instance, berberine is kind of popular right now. Berberine has some benefits. It has some benefits in blood sugar control and some other directions of fat partitioning and whatnot. And it's pretty popular. But my fear of berberine is it's all synthetic. It's just all coming from. And a lot of people don't know that about 98% of all vitamin C comes from China, 98%, and it comes from corn. And I don't know anybody thinking, well, I'm going to get my C from eating a ear of corn, but that's where it comes. So it's synthesized, it's made somehow. Nothing good or bad about that. It just is what it is. I use one from Scotland, actually, that I prefer. So just examples like that. I'm not anti anything, but I'm wary, I guess, and you need to do your homework. And I don't think a lot of companies really do their homework. They buy on price, they buy something on the cheap, and then they can maybe make a greater profit margin on it or something like that, and without really delving deep into it as if it's really the best quality that they can use.
It's really a wild world right now for the supplements, because before, I remember, like, it was hard to have a supplement line, but now it became so easy that, for example, influencers, people on Instagram and YouTubers, because they have so many followers, they will have also their supplement line, and they will promote it like there's no tomorrow. I understand it's a business and there's no problem with that. But the quality, I don't think that when something is so available everywhere, that means the quality will meet what they are saying. So it's really hard for the consumer, in my opinion, to find the right supplement and quality that will not harm their health, because the idea is always to have that, to either improve your health or your performance, but most of it is only words on the label.
Well, yeah, another interesting thing, and I followed it the last few months, is I'd see something on Facebook or something, some ad, and I'd go, oh, check that out, and I'd look at it, and I remember this one. It was pretty compelling. I mean, they said, well, you can, are you kind of a weekend warrior? Are you a well-trained athlete? And so I clicked. I trained pretty much, so I said I'm well-trained. And then it put me to this section of, okay, now what you need is these 6 supplements, and I it was like, it's $335 a month or, whatever.
Membership.
And I'm like, okay, that's first of all, like a little red flag. Like, you're telling me I need all these things. And then when I looked really carefully at each of the supplements, like 3 or 4 of them were the same ingredients in them. It's like, and the ingredients that they used were like, I don't know if I'd use those. I mean, I don't know what the reason for being of putting those specific minerals and things in there are, but I just found it sneaky. And and then sometimes, if you look at some of these rating sites, like we rate the top 5 best supplements.
Right.
I swear some of those rating things are just they're all connected. I think they're all just made, like they say, well, we rated this one at 93%, and then this was at 88%, and I have a feeling that they're all tied together. Like maybe they own all companies. I don't know, but I just think consumers have to question more about what they have to ask more questions, and they have to do some more work than just buy into the hype, because the sport nutrition industry is full of baloney. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that's it's just not above board. There's really some primary compounds that actually will improve your performance, and the rest of it is just stuff. And so I would rather focus on the primary compounds and then the quality of those compounds, and get those to athletes and tell them when to take these to certain things, and go that route than to try to, well, I call it over engineering. You try to over engineer a product. I want to be one up on them. Well, they got this in there, so let's add this and this and that. And then if you don't explain really why it's in there, and also what dose, sometimes there needs to
Yeah.
be a dose. So a certain dose of something. So if you've got 10 milligrams when you need 100 milligrams of something, just because you want it on the label, I don't think that adds value to a person that wants to use it.
Hmm.
Either a health direction, which is important or for a lot of people, obviously, or an athletic performance, whether building muscle or burning fat or improving your speed and reaction and stuff like that. So,
What about protein? What is the best protein to use if someone wants to build muscle? And how you know that it is a good quality whey protein?
uh, yeah. So whey protein is my favorite. Um, I don't use casein much. Casein is a slower protein. Sometimes people take it at night. I don't know what really advantage it has, but in my undergrad program, I actually made glue out of casein. It's sticky.
Hmm.
So that's why it stays in the cheese. It holds cheese together. But whey is a byproduct of cheese production. And in the old days, they used to dump it down the drain. They had no recognized value of it. And then it's very anabolic, so it wasn't really good for the environment to do that. But now we know that whey proteins have a good full profile of amino acids for helping build muscle. They're also high in branched chain amino acids. Most athletes know what BCAAs are now.
Right.
Branched chain amino acids, and in particular leucine, are also not only structural proteins for building muscle, but they're also signaling molecules for anabolic drive. Some athletes may know of a word called mTOR,
Yeah.
mechanism of target of rapamycin. It's just a fancy word. It's basically an enzyme that is produced in the body that stimulates anabolic activity. And now one must be careful talking about anabolic activity as well, because anabolic can be building muscle and it can be building fat. So one of the issues of aging, and some good scientists have written about this extensively, and that have studied mTOR, say that as we age, we actually become mTOR centric. We're hyperactive TOR.
Mm.
Okay, so you might think, well, hyperactive TOR sounds great. We can build more muscle. Yeah, but people that are hyperactive TOR are actually just building more fat, because it's all about growth. It doesn't care whether it grows fat or it grows muscle. It's just growth. So it's really dictated on, it goes to the muscle side if you're working out and you're eating the right kind of protein, or for
Hmm.
instance, the right kind of thing to turn on TOR. But if you put food down the pie hole, a big meal, it's going to build TOR, but it may be in the wrong direction. So it's just a matter of timing of that process. So as far as whey will activate TOR quite nicely. If you want, you could increase the signaling a little bit with some more leucine. I think a lot of companies add branched chain amino acids, and like the 3 of them kind of in a balance. Leucine is the most higher amount, but I don't know as if that's even, I don't think it's necessary. I think just leucine is fine, and get leucine from a reputable company. I would buy one from probably Japan, because I think some of their quality from Ajinomoto, for instance, would be a good choice for leucine. Because again, a lot of these things are probably coming from other countries that I probably wouldn't buy from. I'm sorry to say,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
well, it's just that they need to be analyzed really carefully. And I don't
Hmm.
think a lot of people do. I think they just get it and they throw it in a pill or whatever. And they, there's some quality control stuff in good manufacturing practices now that are dictated, but it's not so accurate that it really can differentiate something really high quality from something low quality.
Some people say that they use casein protein because it doesn't spike your insulin. So that's the reason why they want to avoid the insulin spike, to keep it low. And by having like casein protein, they can do that versus like having a whey protein, it will spike their insulin. Uh, and they're afraid to put on fat. So what is the problem with that? Like, what do you think about that?
Um, well, insulin is a growth hormone, so it can be a good thing at times. It's timing. In recovery after a workout, so insulin spike is probably fine, and but again, a lot of people, as we age, we start getting into our 40s and 50s and 60s. um, we have to be careful about spiking insulin,
Hmm.
and a lot of it comes from our diet, just to how many meals we're getting a day. um, are we eating snacks? All those things can have the potential to spike insulin. So yeah, whey casein may it probably does not spike insulin as much, but um, the question is, does it have value or not? I don't know. I'm not as big a fan. I don't know. And I say I don't know. I don't know. I've
Hmm.
looked at it, and I just don't see uh, uh, as much of a benefit in creating an anabolic muscle building effect from it.
Hmm.
And I think that timing whey protein primarily, you can take it pre-workout, but I prefer it post-workout. Post-workout in a window of a bit, an hour or something. That's when you want to introduce the proteins, not only to supply the structural components to rebuild muscle and recover and restore and supercompensate, but also the signaling molecules from the branched chain amino acids that are going to help you increase TOR at that point. That's the window for that. And
Mm.
then there's also a concept that
Sorry,
Michael
how
Rennie,
long is that window? Do you believe that it's 30 minutes for post workout?
you know, what I mean, when to take the whey protein?
Yeah.
Oh no, it could be longer. I mean, a lot of times I don't get rolling back into the house for an hour. I may go run an errand or something like that. I don't think it's that as critical. But it's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do it in an hour,
Hmm.
half an hour, that's absolutely fine. That's a good part of the window. What I was going to say is that you get to a point where there's dosages and then there's frequency of taking
Hmm.
proteins. And so dosage is a little tricky. A lot of protein powders will have like 18 grams or 19 grams or even 20 in a scoop.
25.
20 and 25, and of course you see some of these weight gain powders they're just loaded with calories. Oh my God, there's like 40 or 50 grams of protein. There's a concept that Michael Rennie, and I mentioned him earlier, had studied, and he called it muscle full. And I think it's quite accurate that it makes sense that the body can only utilize so much protein at one time to build whatever it wants to build. It's kind of like if the analogy of building cars. If I've got this car factory and I'm building 10 cars a day, and you dump 100 engines off at my dock, I can still only build 10 cars a day because my workers can only do so much. Now, if you only drop five engines on my dock, then my production slowed down.
Hmm.
But if I'm at 10, I'm okay. So it's just a matter of the optimal amount. So I think 20 grams, maybe 25 grams tops is enough for most people. There is a concept, and I would say a concept, but it's an actual, I mean, it's been shown that people as they age and they get into maybe their 40s and 50s and 60s, especially even into their 60s and 70s, they can become anabolic resistant. In other words, they don't put on the muscle as much at the same amount of protein. So a little bump in protein at that point is probably appropriate. The question too is, why is the body anabolically resistant? I don't think it's all just because of protein. I think it's because of probably capillary action and delivering nutrients to the cells. And so I'm looking at that now as far as how do we, we know that as we age, our cardiovascular system declines. Why is cardiovascular disease a risky thing when we're old? Why is it an aging disease? There's things that are aging diseases. Muscle loss is an aging disease called sarcopenia. It's muscle loss in the elderly. So why do we lose muscle? Why do we build fat? I call an older person a skinny fat person. They look thin, but they have no muscle. They have no function. And then if you have no muscle, a lot of times you have no bone health, and now you fall and you bust your hip and blah, blah, blah. So it's all tied together. But so the whey protein, I think, can be an advantage. Now, does that mean that everybody has to take whey protein? No, you could take a veggie protein, but I think you probably want to spike it with a little extra branch chain if you want to do it because it's low. The advantage of whey is it has a good amount of BCAAs and especially leucine. So that's its advantage. But there's, I have friends that are vegan bodybuilders, and they look great, so they're doing things and they take extra things and maybe some extra leucine or something like that, but they use veggie proteins. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Let's think about whey protein, leucine, and mTOR before we move to the adaptogens. Some people say that for longevity, if you're having too much leucine, you can grow faster than what it should be. It can be negative. So what do you think of those supplements with leucine and to create that anabolic, response and make it, more beneficial for muscle growth?
I think it has to be taken in context. I mean, if you're training hard and you're stimulating muscle growth and muscle contractions in the gym, for instance, or whatever, then extra signaling for that is appropriate. If you're sitting around on the couch and you're taking extra leucine, and it's like anything, it's hyperactive TOR. TOR has a window that it's appropriate in, and then it has a window that it's not. If you want to burn fat, TOR, you don't want to increase TOR. You want to increase AMPK. It's another enzyme. Okay, it's an energy deficit enzyme. When do you increase AMPK? You increase AMPK when you're fasting, or you're taking certain signaling nutrients will do it too. But it's and when you're exercising, because when you're exercising, you're not taking in any calories. But again, when things go down the pie hole, that's TOR. And so you just have to be careful enough. And TOR doesn't really differentiate between building muscle or fat. You develop that. You design that as far as your timing of your nutrients. And if you're training, if you're sitting on the couch and you're eating chips and stuff and calories and pizza, you're building your TOR, your hyperactive TOR. And it sounds good, but you're hyperactive TOR into the fat storing side, not into the muscle building side. So that's the key. So at times TOR needs to be turned down, dialed down. It has to essentially be dialed down if you want to burn fat, because there's no fat burning going on if your TOR is high.
Right. Some people say that when you fast, because you mentioned fasting, you become insulin sensitive. Therefore, it's the same almost reaction when you work out. You become insulin sensitive. That's why, like when you're eating a meal, it will spike your insulin. So what do you think of that? Like, do you think that intermittent fasting has the same benefit as someone, let's say, who works out in medium intensity, not high intensity, in terms of like calories burning and benefits?
So you repeat it again on the insulin side. So let me try to grasp the insulin. So I'm exercising, and so I'm increasing the sensitivity of the cell, absolutely appropriate. And then I'm producing more insulin now.
After the workout.
after the
No,
workout.
after the workout, you become more insulin sensitive.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I
So
meant.
the question is, why is that a bad thing?
No, it's not
Because
a bad thing.
it's not. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. But here's the deal. A lot of my research now is I'm working on some things for blood sugar health, and as we get older, we become insulin resistant in the cell, mostly in muscle cells. 80% of all blood sugar is processed through muscle. So our muscle cells become basically clogged with certain fatty acids that are not beneficial to the cell. And therefore the cell becomes resistant. So now the pancreas, the beta cells in the pancreas, which make insulin, have to produce more insulin so that it can pound on the door of the cell to tell the cell to come grab this sugar and bring it into the cell. There's a protein in muscle cells called glucose transport protein 4, GLUT4. GLUT4 is sitting in the cell. It's dormant. It's sitting there waiting for the signal. If the cell is resistant, it doesn't get the signal, and it won't go gravitate to the cell surface and grab the sugar and bring it into the cell. Okay, so the pancreas has to produce more insulin. Over time, the pancreas is now running a triple shift because the cell is so insensitive, okay, that it has to produce a lot of insulin. And this is now creating a toxic environment in the beta cell, which poops out the beta cell. And eventually then the beta cell can't keep up with the insulin production. And now the insulin production drops. And now the blood sugar rises exponentially. And now you're diagnosed as type 2 diabetic. Okay, so the key is a few things. One is to reduce the insulin spikes in that case, but then we're talking about somebody that is not really healthy. Insulin can be a benefit if it's like TOR.
Spiked at the right time.
TOR can be a benefit if it's at the right time, and it can be a detriment if it's used if it spikes improperly. If you sit on the couch and you eat a whole pizza and ice cream for dessert and whatnot, then you're going to spike TOR in the wrong way. So it's all a matter of context.
Yeah, that's very important to understand. So you know how to manipulate it and when.
Yeah. So getting back to whey protein or anything like that, the concept of muscle full is that the body can only produce so much new proteins with the whey protein that you're taking in. And so you don't need 40 grams. Maybe you're better off doing 25 grams or 20 grams, but then in another 3 hours, you can do it again if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can ride the anabolic wave longer if you want. Okay, because about every 3 hours, you can introduce a bolus of protein. Now that protein could be whey protein. It could also be a chicken breast or something, something else to do within a couple hours, maybe because it's got to digest and all that more. There's a timing thing there. And I don't think anybody knows that absolutely, perfectly, but you can kind of say, okay, right after the workout, within a half an hour to, whatever, I'm going to take my protein. And then now I know maybe a few hours later, I can still ride that workout, the anabolism from that workout with additional protein, a few hours later,
Okay.
So.
Perfect. Let's talk about adaptogens you mentioned earlier. So can you define that? Like, what does it mean?
So adaptogen, the word adaptogen was coined by a research scientist in the Soviet Union back in the 50s. His name was Nikolai Lazarev, and I never met him. He was passed away before I went there. But I worked with scientists that worked with him. And the word adaptogen simply means allowing the body to adapt to some kind of a stressor, bringing it back into balance and to normalcy. And so the Soviets studied these different adaptogen compounds. They're not all from plants, but most of them are. There's many of them. People have probably heard of things like Siberian ginseng or Eleutherococcus. They've heard of things like
Maca.
maca, Tulsi, on and on and on. And so these adaptogens have different influences, but they just bring the body back in balance. Somebody's under stress or something, could be a emotional stress or a psychological stress. That they can help with that. They can help bring the body back in balance. They were studied. The nice thing about in the Soviet Union, the nice thing was that if they wanted to study it on people, they would just do it, and I call it an applied outcome study. It's actually the best way to do things, is just to have people use it and see what happens.
So they don't
And so,
use
yeah,
mouse.
just see what happens. So they literally gave, like Israel Breckman, who I got to know briefly. He's a lot of these guys have passed away now, because I knew them back in the 90s, and they were old guys then.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them were, some of them were women, but most of them were men. But Israel Breckman was in Vladivostok, and he was a top researcher in adaptogenic research. That's really what his focus was. And he worked with a lot of adaptogens, but he worked with Eleuthero and probably gave it to 200,000 truck drivers. I mean, they studied it like no tomorrow. And so they had the opportunity and the luxury, because of the Soviet system, to basically be able to say, you take this, you take this, you take this.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting aside to that was that he was studying, doing an animal study at one time, and he had a placebo group that was given just sugar, and the other group of animals that they were training both under stress, but they were giving one sugar, and they were just as a placebo, and then they were giving the other one the Eleuthero. And the interesting thing was that the one given the sugar was the animals there were adapting pretty well. They were the sugar seemed to allow them to adapt. And he thought, what the heck? Why was this crazy sugar? And so he went back to the factory, and he learned that they were actually using raw sugar that had a lot of active compounds in it. It wasn't that white sugar that we're commonly used to here. It had a lot of other active compounds in it, and those active compounds were actually allowing the animals to adapt to the stress. So there's a lot of things in the plant kingdom that can help with this. And then there's Fafia paniculata we worked with years ago. It's a plant from Brazil, and Fafia has adaptogenic effects too. Raponticum carthamoides. I'm seeing some stuff now on ectosterones, which I've worked with years ago quite a bit and had good success with. But ectosterones it's an insect molting hormone. So an ectosterone is a hormone produced by insects, but it's by plants as a defense against insects. And so a lot of these active compounds, adaptogens too, and everything, adaptogens a lot of these things are produced by a plant to protect itself from an invasion. Mm-hmm. or stress. So like what kind of stress would a plant be under? Well, a plant could be under lack of water. It could be extreme heat. It could be extreme cold. It could be a bug chewing on its leaf. Like, I want the bug to go away. So ectosteroids are insect molting hormones. They cause the bug to change form, and it flies away. So instead of a caterpillar chewing on its leaf anymore, it becomes a butterfly or a moth or something. And so plants are, through millions of years, have created this defense system. And when we take these active compounds, we also receive them as a kind of a functional stress signal. Like medicinal mushrooms have the same thing. Medicinal mushrooms are a lot of times used for immune stimulating, especially in the wintertime. A number of plant compounds too, astragalus and echinacea too, are used in the winter. But these compounds are functional stressors. So in the body, they basically tickle the body to say, hey, get stronger, build your immunity up. But if you take too much medicinal mushrooms, you'll get sick, because it's too much. It's too much of a stress. It's kind of like exercise. If we haven't exercised for a while, and I tell you, hey, let's go on a 20-mile run, forget about it. We're going to be toast when we get back. But if we've already been putting in the miles, then maybe that 20-mile run is nothing for us.
All right.
So it's all about adaptation.
And when these adaptogen should be taken, and for what reason? Like for a day-to-day task, or for which person will benefit the most from it? Are people who work out? Is it people who have stress from work?
Yeah,
What
all
is
the
it?
above. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
above. Yeah, because again, in a zone. But if your training is high enough that you're under a lot of stress, and we're not just training beings. We're not always just in the gym training. We have lives, and so maybe we have some other stressors, job stress or family stress or whatever, and maybe the adaptogen can help with that and help normalize you and bring you back in balance.
Hmm.
More so. So it doesn't
That's
have to be an athletic product. Most
got you.
I think really adaptogens mostly are taken by people that are just under some kind of other maybe sleeping stress or
Hmm.
not sleeping enough or I'm anxious or things like that. They can be a benefit for that.
And in my opinion, this is very important aspect because let's say if someone enrolls in a program and the program, let's say, worked for many people, and that person didn't get enough results. It doesn't mean, and he's blaming it on the program. It doesn't mean that the program didn't work. There are other factors outside that program, like stress, enough sleep, food, supplementation. All these factors can impact the person, and if the person is not balanced mentally, you know you cannot expect the best results from anything, not only a training program, but from anything, in my opinion. So I see the impact of adaptogens and how they can benefit many people in different fields.
Yeah.
So you mentioned anabolic signaling molecules. What is that?
Well, it's just something has to tell the body to build, let's say, muscle. If that's our function, and it has to say uh, signal muscle growth. So there are three primary parts of building muscle in the cell: transcription, translation, and translocation. Transcription is like anabolic steroids. Transcription is basically transcribing, basically writing down a blueprint on, hey, this is what we need to build. Here's the
Mm.
blueprint on how to build this muscle. So that's where kind of testosterone lies, which is why we have to maintain healthy testosterone levels. But then translation is basically taking that blueprint and saying, oh, this is how we make a muscle protein. Now let's go assemble those amino acids and let's start, building that. And then translocation is also kind of part of that process of communicating and building. So it's kind of the whole soup. And so when you look at nutritional products, they could be in one of the three or two of those directions. Most things that I work with are in the translation and translocation field,
Hmm.
because I think that a lot of people make enough testosterone. It's just that the other parts of the process are not in sync. They're deficient. So so in other words, just taking more testosterone is, or if you're taking anabolic steroids or you're goosing your testosterone, maybe a benefit and maybe not, and so there's more to it than just that. And that's where those other parts of the building process come in. And that's what, how can you get those ribosomes, the RNA, so we have DNA, which is in the gene.
Yeah.
We have DNA and we have,
RNA.
yeah, we have DNA in mitochondria too. We also need to build our mitochondria, which is the center, the powerhouse of the cell. So it's not always just building skeletal muscle; it's building your mitochondria too. But then you have RNA, which is there's different RNA. There's messenger RNA, which has the signal, and
Yeah.
there's ribosomal RNA, which is basically the assembly plant to build them, the proteins into something, whether you're building it into collagen protein, skeletal muscle, or you're building it into connective tissue or whatever. So it's a whole process.
Hmm. So, understanding that process, how can that help a person in, let's say, working out?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, because there's no one magic answer. You're looking at diet, exercise, fasting at times, and supplements. And the supplements need to be either structurally functional, like proteins in a whey protein, or they need to be signaling molecules to signal something, because we're all just we're switches. We're switching something on and switching something off. We want to switch. We want to switch a mTOR on at certain times. We want to switch it off at times. We want to switch AMPK on at times to burn fat, and we want to switch AMPK off at times. Okay, and AMPK is also important for not only fat burning, but also a process called autophagy, which it means self-eating, and it's kind of like taking out the trash. When you want to cleanse the cell and get all the junk out, get the old junky mitochondria, maybe that mitochondria which is making energy is now not working very well, and it's like an old car which is sputtering a bunch of junk out the back end, and you want to go, let's get rid of this thing. And how you do that is through autophagy, and the body basically says that cell is toast, and let's liquefy it and eat it and recycle the components. So it's like taking out the trash.
And that's through fasting, right?
So AMPK works in that. And when does it do that? Well, it works during exercise, because that's when you're doing that. And it works in a fasting window as well. One of the interesting things that one can do is to fast before the workout, do a high intensity interval exercise, and then fast for a little while afterwards to ride that AMPK window and make it more effective. And that's been shown to work quite well. So to not preload with anything. And are you compromising your muscle building when you're doing that? Yeah, but it's a different time. And so, it may be a different, just it's a timing thing. And so sometimes somebody may say, hey, I got 30 extra pounds. I mean, I was in the gym. I'm going to go today again. And I was in the gym last night, and there were some pretty tubby naked guys in the gym. Okay. And so I'm thinking, wow, that guy could, I'm just visualizing that guy could lose 40 pounds, no sweat, well, with a lot of sweat probably. But so if somebody has a function of, maybe we need to simultaneously build muscle, because muscle burns fat. We need to have muscle to do that. But we also need to figure out how to turn on the fat burning pathway. And just exercise alone it's not been shown to be very effective for a lot of people, and so it's a combination of the exercise, your diet, your fasting window, and your signaling molecules to turn on AMPK. So these are different molecules. These are different signaling for AMPK. There are certain things that will help turn it on. Improving your blood sugar health, because again, if you improve we talked about that earlier, improving the sensitivity of the cell so that the body can receive the blood sugar efficiently. The body needs less insulin. Insulin is not only an anabolic hormone for muscle building, it's also a fantastic fat storage hormone. So most people that are pre-diabetic, that are starting to put on weight, they're hyperinsulinemic. They produce a lot of insulin. And even diabetics a lot of the time. And then what do doctors do? They prescribe insulin to somebody. And one of the side effects of prescribing insulin is fat around your visceral area, around your organs, around your belly, which is bad news because it increases inflammation in the body like no tomorrow. So it's all timing,
Perfect. I think we will do on a different day a video just talking about these two factors, the mTOR and MPK and all that. I felt that you're not a pre-workout guy. So let's talk a little bit about that and about after exercise restoration and supercompensation. Okay. So are you someone who promotes, do you like the idea of a pre-workout?
The jury's still out on pre-workout. I'm looking at it carefully. I think a lot of the ingredients that are in pre-workout supplements don't do much. There's a couple, citrulline and beta-alanine are kind of common in pre-workouts. Citrulline, let's face it, it's like the guts. Citrulline, beta-alanine, and caffeine. All the top supplements, you'll find that in there. Yeah. And so I want to investigate it more to see really what each of those nutrients does. What I've seen so far, there's some positive things, but I'm still cautious about it. And I would not over engineer it with all kinds of other stuff in there. Arginine, so one of the things is citrulline converts to arginine in the body. And then arginine helps stimulate nitric oxide production. And nitric oxide is this little short-lived molecule. I have people come up to me all the time and say, yeah, I want that nitric oxide that nitric oxide. I said, no, you want to build it, but you're never going to get it in a pill. So arginine stimulates nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is a vasodilator for the blood vessel. So it relaxes blood vessels, can lower blood pressure, but it also can help deliver nutrients to cells more efficiently. So it does make sense. But one of the things about arginine is that it's very poorly absorbed. It gets destroyed in the gut.
Yeah.
Citrulline does not. And so citrulline actually is probably a better thing to add to a pre-workout than arginine, because it survives and then it converts to arginine very well in the body. And then the arginine can then increase the nitric oxide. So I haven't closed the door on it yet. I was kind of really I kind of, maybe because I'm old school a little bit, and I know that through, working out myself and working with coaches and athletes and working with the Russian programs, that we really didn't do much with pre-workout stuff. We didn't try to preload and give the body candy and goodies, because like I mentioned the antioxidants before, too many antioxidants. It's kind of like we're giving the body a lot of goodies, and it makes it easier, but the body doesn't need easier. It needs functional stress. And so maybe we're going to detract from that by doing certain things. So I think a pre-workout kind of has to be compared with the big picture. And my answer is I don't know yet.
And what about the after exercise restoration and supercompensation that you said you want to explain that a little bit?
Well, I mean, that's just where everything happens, because it doesn't happen during the workout. The workout is creating the stress. It's burning energy. It's creating muscle. It's creating the initial signals. It's increasing testosterone, for instance, or whatever. And so it's increasing cortisol, which can be beneficial at times too. And so it's now you're primed in recovery. Restoration is where it's all at. So it's just why you're going to take your whey protein, you're going to take your creatine, you're maybe going to take your leucine or branched chain amino acids or something in that window to really activate that mTOR at the time where it needs to be activated. And so, and then basically supercompensation is just a fancy word for I'm ahead of the game. I'm doing better than I was yesterday, which was better than the day before. And so it's not backsliding, kind of a thing. So it's just allowing the body to giving enough fuel and things to build these proteins and efficiently.
Regarding the people that you saw in the gym and they have extra weight, like many people can benefit from, let's say, the fasting. What about fat loss supplements?
Well, I think that there are certain things that can be used in a fat loss supplement. I mean, over the years, there's been all kinds of different things. There's been things from beans that reduce the uptake of starch, or the uptake of fat. I think that's kind of a lazy man's way of doing things. I think you just need to eat better. I mean, so now, if you want to if you're eating a bunch of pizza out with your buddies and, celebrating something, then I'm not trying to limit anybody from having fun, but it's just that, taking these things to prevent nutrient absorption, to me, seems to be like, well, why don't you just start with the right nutrients to begin with, and then you don't have a problem. So I don't think that's where the process comes. I think the process comes in AMPK, and the focus on AMPK, and the ability to stimulate fat burning in some kind of a window. And again, that could be the timing of I'm fasting before my workout. The workout I'm doing today is not really a muscle building workout. It's more of a high intensity interval workout to really get my metabolic rate jacked up.
Hmm.
And then after the workout, I'm going to ride that for a little bit, and then I'll have a meal a little bit later. So maybe you can take a product before a workout, or post workout. Probably more likely before, because I don't think you want to ride that window too long, because then you're going to start to pirate muscle. But it's a timing of can we maximally pirate and get rid of the fat. And the fat is burned in mitochondria, so we have to make sure that this is all about the science. You follow the science. And so the mitochondria is where fat is burned, and how can we jack up the mitochondria? And
Right.
at that point, and it's kind of a different type of a training than the muscle building one. Maybe it's more kind of anabolic being building muscle, and catabolic burning fat. It's like anabolic catabolic cycling. Maybe there's something
Gotcha.
that began with that. And I don't think we know all the answers yet. That's why I'm excited about developing some products and working with the right kind of training programs to get input from athletes, because that's really where you learn. You learn if you're successful with something or not. I think we can pretty much predict and hit a good mark, but then you learn all kinds of new stuff about, well, and somebody might say, well, I did this and boy, I got great results. And then all of a sudden you get a community of people trying it and going, holy crud, this is the holy grail, kind of a thing. So I think ultimately you take it out of a laboratory, and and when I do research too with science, I don't look at one study. I might look at 100 in one topic, and I save them, and then I review them, and I kind of see where it's going. And so that's kind of the starting point, but ultimately it has to get down into the real world in the gym with teams and with individuals to see if something really performs consistently. But the fat burning side is as a supplement, I'm sure can be created. I'm working on it now, and I'm looking at some different ingredients. But it has to be used with the right training plan to make it work. Just like whey protein has to be used or creatine or anything else has to be used with the right training plan. It's a tool.
Hmm. Interesting subject, the fat loss and supplementation, because it's a big market. Um, so let's talk about the last supplement, which is for reaction and quickness. I heard that you had something about that because you worked with some athlete and you tried it, So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Years ago, I was going to develop a product for speed strength athletes with a good friend of mine. He was a former NFL player. And we had done initial testing with it, and on very elite athletes, college athletes and pros.
Hmm.
And it worked quite well. With pros, it's maybe not as efficient because a pro is already at such a high level. They're so tuned. But if you can get another 5% out of a pro, it's a big deal. So we were seeing some good results. And then unfortunately, he had a fatal heart attack, raking leaves one day and passed away. So I didn't make it at that point. I shelved it. Later, I got involved again with the research and the science, and then we developed it. I kind of improved it a little bit. As science evolves, I evolve.
Right.
And so we have tested it now with a number of athletes and some controlled studies, and seen that it helps with like vertical jumps, like measurably, like within like taking it. Like
Is
within
there such a
like
thing really that happens like that?
yeah, because it's about neuromuscular reaction. Quickness is all about the nervous system and how it communicates with muscles. So now we're not just talking about muscle anymore. We're talking about the nervous system. And nerves, the nervous system, nerves talk to nerves, and nerves talk to muscle. Okay. So, but the nerves don't touch each other. It's not like this one big long tube of nerves. They're little strands, and they have a little junction here that has a compound in it called acetylcholine. And that acetylcholine has to be in there to maintain this connection and this either memory or cognitive function, or in the nerves, reaction, firing of muscle, all those things. That acetylcholine has to be in that synapse. So how can we maintain that in the synapse is really where the focus is. And we develop some things that do that. Some cognitive products probably have some benefits to that too. Not as much, but they have some similar ingredients in some ways. But maintaining this, because if this acetylcholine is not in the synapse, we have no muscle firing. So like if we're fatigued and we're not recycling it properly, then we're not going to get as big a contraction, speed, strength, whatever it is. So that's where that kind of a product comes. And there's not a lot of, that's why I developed it, because I didn't see anything like that out there to help a speed strength athlete. More so than, I mean, if I'm working in the gym and I'm bodybuilding or something like that, I don't need that. But if I'm an explosive athlete, I'm a thrower. I was a hammer thrower, so I could see myself benefiting from it. A sprinter, a football player, reaction. You see, reaction quickness is not just muscle; it's ocular. It's the eye. It's picking up everything. And so all those.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the nerves, the optic nerves of the eye direct things. So if a pass is coming your way and you can pick up on it quicker, like a millisecond quicker, you can make the reception, and just simple things like that. So, if you get somebody that's, if you compare an elite NFL football player, a wide receiver, with an 85-year-old grandma, okay, running pass patterns. If you could kind of visualize that, grandma's she's not too sharp. Okay, now that's for a number of reasons, but also it's just that the athlete is so tuned all the way from what they see to what their muscles do, and the balance. Some of these guys are just amazing at what they can do, but they've trained that, and they're young, and they have all those functionalities. And so a supplement like that is just designed to either activate these principles for an older athlete more. Like I have friends that are like, they still play baseball and they're like in their 50s and 60s, things like that. Then that can be a benefit to them, because I guarantee their acetylcholine is probably decreasing in the synapse, and if we can maintain it. Now, you don't want to you might think, well, let's just keep it in there all the time.
Yeah.
You can't, because you would literally, you'd like have a seizure. And so, but it's just a matter of supplying nutrients and signaling things that will keep it in there. So that's where that fits.
Do you think having a good vision for athletes matters a lot? Because now that you've talked about that, let's say if someone doesn't have like a 10 out of 10 vision and uses this supplement, will he benefit from it as someone who will have a 10 out of 10 vision?
I have no idea, but kind of intuitively, yeah, it probably will help. Because it's just part of the process. Now, there's a lot of things. Again, it's like everything in the body is complex. It's not one-sided. So with vision, there's other things that occur. I know, like my son has better than perfect vision. I mean, better than perfect vision. He's like an eagle eye. He's deadly with a bow when he bow hunts for animals, for game. But I wear glass, and normally I wear glasses, especially if I need to see far away. But so everybody's different. So, but I think that, yeah, for what it wants to do, I think that a supplement can help with vision. It can help with cognition, and it can help with reaction and quickness. There's no reason why it wouldn't, because it's all kind of in the same area, of research.
I can see that your son is good with bow, because his trophies are hanging in the wall.
Well, that's my best friend Mike. Those are his. He has my son has his own. He just shot a really nice elk, and he's having it mounted or something. It takes like a year and a half to get it back.
Oh,
but yeah. So he trucks out in the middle of nowhere in the snow and the ice and everything. And that's not my speed. I like to fly fish, but I'm not the hunter in the family.
Wow, that was very interesting, Rick. I learned a lot from it. Let's see what people think of what we talked about. If you have any questions regarding anything we talked about today, don't hesitate to ask it in the comment section. And we will do more videos. I'm really interested also to talk to you about the MPK and the mTOR in a dedicated video, so we can understand those more in depth. So thank you, Rick, for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video.
Okay, I enjoyed it much. Thanks a lot. Bye, Mo.
Thank you. Bye bye.